she's an adherent to some sort of a cult, and yet she's very almost deadpan, almost kind of dead eyes. How did you and she work together to make this character come to life?
Hum, hum, hum.
She gave me the tea.
Hum.
I don't know exactly what's going on here, but I think Miss Novak is manipulating our children.
We met with former cult members and had some interviews with them, and this helped us a lot to create the role of Miss Novak, because Mia was also able to ask those former cult members what their cult leaders were like, and were they just psychopaths or were they true believers? So we had many questions to them. And during those conversations, we decided it is actually more frightening if Miss Novak was a person who really believes in what she says. So that was what we tried to create, a Miss Novak that is a true believer. She's not evil. She doesn't want to manipulate the children in a bad intention. On the contrary, it's even more scary to think that she actually thinks she's doing good.
Conscious eating strengthens and purifies our bodies.
Wow. Are you really going to eat all that?
Watching the children eat was very devastating at times, because they just cut the food, but they didn't eat it. Or if they did eat it, then they brought it back up. Can you tell me how you decided where to put that?
The idea was definitely to show how gradually this idea of Miss Novak becomes more and more radical. So in the beginning, they just decide to eat healthy food. That's fine. But at some point, they decide to eat a mono diet, which is already quite radical. But going from there, they go even further. And at some point, they decide to stop eating at all. And so this was the reason to sort of really show that development in tiny little steps. An idea becomes more and more radical. And I think that is how conspiracy theories also work. They don't start with the radical idea. They start with something everyone would say, yeah, of course, I understand. But then gradually, the more you're part of it, the more the idea becomes radical. And that's the danger about it.
We want to know how you came across this. Do you know someone who has gone through something like this, or how did you come across it?
Well, I think it is quite an important issue nowadays in general, that there is a lot of manipulation going on. I think the topic of conspiracy theories is quite urgent in everything we see in our times. And I was interested in making a film to show how this can happen. How can it happen that a group of people becomes influenced or manipulated in a way that they end up with some radical idea that, seen from another perspective, sounds totally crazy, but suddenly seen from their perspective, it becomes very reasonable and true.
Can you tell me how you talked to the kids or the cast of young people that you had about how they should react to this?
Well, in the preparation of the film, I met many young people also already for the research, for writing the script. We had interesting conversations, and I understood that for the young generation, the topic of climate change is very much on the forefront of their fears. So a lot of young people are afraid of the climate change, and it becomes really a very strong impact. And that was one thing that we discussed about a lot. We also discussed about nutrition, if sort of food, how do you say it? The question how you feed yourself eating disorders. That's the word.
Ah.
So the question of eating disorders was also discussed a lot. And we also tried to protect the young actors in a way to sort of get too much involved into the whole story. So we had also a psychological person on the set who talked to the young actors regularly.
So they wouldn't go off the deep end themselves.
Exactly, yeah.
I have to rely on you. Take good care of our child.
Can you just eat something for a change?
I'm eating consciously.
Another indictment in this movie is an indictment of parenting, where the parents are too busy for their kids and they give the job over to the school and to essentially to the school to raise their kids until it's too late, until it was too late. Was that your intent as well here?
Yes, that is something that I think about a lot, which is that in our society, adults have to work a lot. And I have the feeling that there is no very good plan of who takes care of the children. I have the feeling it's left to every individual to make up their own solution. But I find that strange because the education of the young generation is the most important thing, actually. It should be our greatest concern. But at least in Europe, I observe that people work the whole day, schools stop at 3 o'clock, and what happens in the afternoon? What happens to the children? So this was really one very specific reason also that why I showed the parents in that way. They don't mean bad. Of course, they love their children, but maybe they don't have the time and the focus to really understand their children.